my little puppet specs here. Here's the tutorial as promised, colouring the page out of Johanna Basford's World of Flowers with pencils and fine liners, which is how I colour all the time now. I've just got a bit of a close-up. This is the, we're going to do the background the same on all of them. This is the picture that I originally did, I'm not sure how long ago it was, maybe about a year ago now, and just did a shelf in varying colours. So I did the top shelf in sort of reds and oranges, combination of fine liners and pencils, then did a sort of a green, a bit turquoisey shelf, a blue shelf, and then a pink shelf on the bottom. It's a really good picture to start with if you've never combined pencils with fine liners. It's a really good one to start with. So I'm going to put that aside, and as if by magic I have one here that is blank that we can start on together and do it together. Now I will posted at the very beginning of this video the pencils and that you need. If you don't have polychromos, don't worry too much. Just try and match the colours with your Prismas as best you can. Try it on a bit of paper first, and then we can you know, to try and get the blend together. These are the pencils we're going to use right now, as I've put the numbers, because I know some of you out there like your numbers, and the names. Oh, these are the ones for the background. There we go. Those two are quite similar, but they actually, it's quite a nice transition from the kind of the browns to the yellows. So I do use, that's probably one of my favourite colours that out of my polychromos. It's called green gold, and I use it. And as you can see, all these are tiny. I'm waiting for some replacements to come through. So I'm going to be using, for those that maybe don't use pencils that much, this is an extender, and you get a bit of extra life out of your pencils. Or if you've ordered replacements and they haven't come yet, which has happened to be, yeah, you can use this, and you basically just put the pencil, those two I'll use, but this one I'll have to use an extender, in the end, and then you turn that round, it clips on, and then you can colour with it a bit more, which is awesome. So anyway, that's the range we're going to do. So we'll start with the background, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm going to start with the burnt umber, and all I'm going to do, we're just going to do the first shelf. We'll take it shelf by shelf. I'll colour the background with you guys so you can see what I do here, but then the other backgrounds, obviously I won't record that because it'll be exactly the same. All we're going to do is take the darkest colour first, and just at the very bottom start shading in. Now it's interesting because over the, you know, people ask people and talk on groups and stuff about how they colour and that, and I know a lot of colourists go, oh look at that little space there, could have missed that there. A lot of colourists go light to dark. I never have. I've always gone dark to light. It's pretty unusual if I do it the other way around. It's just always been the way I coloured. But that's how I've always used my fine liners as well. So I don't know if that's why that's the way around I do it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll just go with the flow anyway. You can do whichever way around you want. I'll show you the way I would do this. But if you find you want to start at the top and work down, start with the lighter one, because that's how you're more comfortable and used to using pencils. If you're, you know, a bit more experienced in using pencils, and are watching this more to use the fine liners, then yeah, just do whichever way around you're comfortable. So I'm just taking the darkest colour first and putting a little bit down around the edge. Polychromos go really, really well with fine liners. I find the Prismas go well, you know, go okay as well, but because they're slightly more sort of waxy, you tend to get a bit more, and when you're using them together, you tend to get a little bit more build up on the fine liner nib, so you have to like wipe it all off more. But polychromos, you really don't have to do it that often. Right, as you've noticed on the edge of the shelf, I haven't taken it quite out to the very edge, and I've sort of done a little kind of triangle bit. Right, after that you go to the next darkest one. So now we're onto our raw umber. And now all I'm going to do is just go over that and pull the colour up a little bit. I press probably like a medium firmness. I will be going over with the darker pencil again in a minute. But yeah, I don't like doing lots and lots of layers. Again, I think it's so I press down quite hard, I think, probably. But again, because I think I come from a fine liner background, I want immediate colour. I don't want to wait for my colour. I don't have to do 6 layers to get some colour. So yeah, I do tend to press a little bit harder. The principles of this blending with the background, if you've watched any of the other tutorials with the fine liners, is the same thing in the sense of it's that colour combination. I'm working from the darker one outwards, if you know what I mean, to the lighter one. And the one thing I will say as well, I mean, I've shown you that the picture, which is the one I did about a year ago, or not even sure when I did it, but this one won't be exactly the same, obviously, because I don't write down colours and stuff. I only have written these down and worked it out because, you know, I'm doing this tutorial for you guys. So yeah, it's not going to be exactly the same. No two pictures ever the same. And that's one of the wonderful things about our hobby. It's never going to be the same. And yours won't be the same. You'll do things slightly different as well. Right then, so now I'm going to go for the next one, which is my, what's this? Yellow ochre. Is it yellow ochre next? Or no, it's green gold next, sorry. Green gold. So that's the one I put in my little extender. I love this colour. Now what you'll notice here is the blending. I'm actually, with this green gold, I'm actually going over quite a lot over that raw umber one there. Just try and get some of the blending. Let's go. And when you get to the leaves and stuff, just make sure you're filling all that in. Sorry, the dog just come and opened the door and to have a look what was going on. Went, oh, she's colouring again. And has left the door wide open. So you can probably hear my teenagers now as well. I'm just looking here, so as I'm colouring it, I'm just making sure it's roughly, it's going to be down a little bit at the end because I got that triangle, but it's roughly about the same level as I'm colouring across. Going over that colour below. I'm going to come in with the darker brown in a second just to make that bottom a bit browner. Careful around the handles. They get me, I forget sometimes. You can always go back and do it again, but yeah, those wee handles. One of the things I love about Johanna's work is the level of detail in some of the pictures, and that really lends itself to fine liners as well. Oh no, I'm going a bit low here, aren't I? So let's take that up a little bit more. I'm going in a bit of a slant, and let's take that up a little bit more. Better, yeah. Yeah, it really lends a lot of Johanna's pictures really lend themselves to fine liners in the smaller details, or sharpen your pencil to a very, very fine point. Which I find, that's another thing I found with my polychromos when I use them. I seem to be, because they're a bit softer, and probably because I press hard as well, so it's probably my own fault, but I seem to be constantly sharpening them because they break all the time. It's probably my heavy-handedness. But yeah, I don't seem to get that with the polychromos. You'll get different camps of people. Doesn't really matter what your pencil is. as long as you like colouring with it. So now I'm going to go back to the dark one now, the first one we used, so the burnt umber, because you can see how it's kind of lost a little bit at the bottom. I don't want to do it too dark, but I'm just going to go over that slightly at the very edge. And then now I'm not going to press as hard as I have before. I'm just going to circle up over the brown and just into the yellow, just to blend it through. Very light kind of circular motions. Along the edge again, and when we're doing the shelf, we'll be going along the edge of the shelf anyway, with a red colour. So don't, worry too much if you go over a little bit or don't cover it. There we go, that's blending it a bit better. Yeah, and I don't know if you signed up to the Inky newsletter from Johanna, but the one that she sent, I think it was the end of last week, I think. We're in, well, I'm not sure when you guys are watching this, but I'm recording it anyway, August to 2020. Very strange year. But so she sent an Inky newsletter out, and she did this awesome post comparing some more expensive pencils with some cheaper ones to see if you could tell the difference. And you couldn't tell the difference when it was down. I think the comment was that basically maybe the more expensive ones were a little bit easier to use, maybe. There's probably a high level of pigment or colour or whatever. But the actual end effect was not that different. And so you don't need to go for the really expensive stuff. I started off, my first set of pencils was the Staedtler Ergo Soft. My very first set, they were good. Then I got some Prismas when they were on special, and then for Christmas I had some polychromos, which was very nice. I was very lucky because they're pretty pricey, and well, they're pretty pricey full stop, but anything getting over to Australia ends up getting even more pricey. So yeah. Okay, nearly done that now, I think. Can always go back and add more. Right then, so now I've done the green gold. So now we're going to go into our first kind of yellows. Now this one is the yellow, light yellow ochre, number 183. So now for the top of the yellow one, let me just do this if you can see this. So I haven't gone as dark on this one as you can see, but the darkness, it's probably like a kind of quarter of the browns, a quarter of the yellows, and then the last two ones are literally two pencils. It's your cream section and your cream and then ivory. So you've got about 3 or 4 pencils just in this bottom bit to get that blend. We're gonna have a couple of the yellows now, then cream, then ivory, and the effect should be like that, she says, hopefully, because yeah, I had to try to remember what it was and recreate it. But anyway, so now onto the yellow section, and we're going to take sort of the yellows up to maybe about here. I've got 2 yellows, yeah, up to about here. So this you're going to colour like a bigger section with this one now, light yellow ochre. So let's start. I've got to start paying attention now and concentrating a little bit maybe. To make sure I'm colouring in all the right areas for the background. So I'm actually doing, it's quite a firm pressure I'm putting on here. I will be going over with a little bit more brown. So it's quite a firm pressure I'm putting on here, and let me just concentrate here. I can't talk and colour colour and concentrate anyway at the same time. I'm learning. There we go. Let's leave there. And I've lost what I was saying now as well. It obviously wasn't important. It obviously wasn't very important, and it'll come back to me. I had to concentrate, go around there. Don't worry too much if you go over some of the lines. It'll all come out in the wash. Right, let's see, press a bit firmer. So this colour isn't that dissimilar to the green gold one, but it has got more of that yellow. To start taking it in. Oh, it's a little bit fiddly around here. So keep checking on your line that you're going up to, your visible line. A little few peaky bits there. Johanna Basford talking about, oh yeah, the one where she was using the expensive pencils and the cheap pencils, and there really was no difference, just maybe in the use. And I loved there was a bit about when she was drawing on material things like shoes and t-shirts, and I wonder if you guys did any of that. I didn't try any of that. I will at some point, I just haven't got around to it at the moment. Now we've got to concentrate here. Okay, so here that's actually just 2 stalks, so that needs to be all yellow. With the fine liners, when we've just got stalks like this, we will actually go over the stalks with one, you know, coloured fine liner. So don't worry too much when you're colouring straight over it. That same, yep. Oh, it's nice when you get to a straight flat bit and you're not trying to concentrate on where you've got to do the colour. Okay, it's going across. So I hope all of you are keeping well in this year where it's all a bit crazy. No one was quite expecting what 2020 would bring. I've been very lucky, and my job wasn't really affected, so I've carried on working, and I've just started some studying as well, so it's pretty full on actually. I thought I'd start a YouTube as well, why not? I just wanted to really share my passion. I love colouring as a hobby. It's just, yeah, it's my downtime, it's my relaxation, my creative outlet. So I do love it, and I love sharing the hobbies. If 1 or 2 people get a few tips out of what I'm doing or what I've sort of learned as I've gone on, then I'm happy to pass it on. Right, I need to concentrate again on this bit, so what's background and what isn't. Talking of background, I get questions sometimes about, do you always do the background first or last? It really depends. I actually often do the background first, partly because I get bored really easy. So it's like with this picture, there is no way I would normally, like I would do this background part and then colour the things. I wouldn't do all the backgrounds. I probably will because I'm recording it. So I'll do the backgrounds before we do the other parts, but normally I wouldn't because I just get too bored of just doing the background. Having said that, it's also nice when it's done, because I don't know about you guys, have you ever coloured a picture and you've done like what I like to think of the fun bit. So you've done like the little flowers or something like that, and then you have to kind of attack the background. That's how it used to feel to me sometimes. I had to attack the background because I was just, yeah, backgrounds are difficult. I think we all kind of struggle sometimes with what are we going to do with that big white space. So sort of doing the background first is good sometimes for me. So then I can kind of get background out of the way and carry on with the fun bit. That's kind of how I think about it. Is that about the right level? Let me have a look. That's about right. Okay, so now we've really got some yellow. What I'm going to do is take that brown, so not the first, not the darkest one, but that mid brown. So what have we got? That's the raw umber, and I'm just going to bring some of the brown up a little higher, very lightly. Circular movements at the top there. Just a little bit. I haven't, because I just want a little bit of extra browning, so I haven't got to be as precise, like touching every little bit, if you know what I mean. I just want a little bit of extra darkness here and there. Maybe another little bit around there. Gone over there, but that's okay. Probably be a little bit darker there because of the shadows, all the leaves. And a little bit darker there as well, again because of the shadows. Just a little touch there to blend, a little bit there to blend, a little bit there darker. Kind of going over the green gold a little bit. I might have to pull a bit of more of that in. Just looked a bit too yellow. A little bit more. It's these end bits that needed the most. That were just looking way too yellow all on their own. Okay, now we're going to go to the next one now, which is Naples Yellow. Have we used that one yet? I think we haven't used that one yet, have we? So Naples Yellow now, number 185. What we're on Naples Yellow? Yeah, I've just used light yellow. Okay, yeah, it's Naples Yellow. Yeah, there we go. Look how yellow it is. We're into their yellows now. So again, we're gonna be a little bit, take this a little bit further. Because after this, we've got the cream and then ivory, and that's it. So this is going to be about another sort of, probably to about there, I'd say. Start going light. So with this one now, you've really, the cream that we go into is really light. So with this one now, as you're colouring with this pencil, be a bit firmer here, the pressure that you apply, so it blends into that one a bit more. And then as you go to the top, just press a bit lightly, so you've got, without doing lots of different layers, just from the pressure you're putting on the pencil, you've got darker here and then naturally lighter here, because then when you go on with the cream, it will blend easier because you haven't pressed as hard. So with this lighter, we're very light on here. That cream will blend in a bit better then. Okay, yeah, so firmer along here where I'm joining the colour I had before, so I'm pressing quite firmly there. And then as I move up, I'm getting lighter and lighter with how much pressure I'm putting on, until that very top one I'm hardly putting any pressure at all on the pencil on the paper. So firm, and you can go over the colour a little bit to blend. And then as you go further up, a bit lighter. See? And you're not going to get perfect uniform, like you might want it if you want perfect like straight lines. You could get a ruler and kind of like, you know, get the line where you want it. But in reality, most things out there in the world aren't perfectly straight or perfectly lined or perfectly symmetrical or whatever. So, you know, if it's a bit wonky, that's good. Asymmetrical is good. A bit all over the place is good. Adds character. Not quite sure why I went all the way over there then, just did. A bit larger at the top. It's about the same, that's good. See, now see here, I've looked at that and I've actually pressed a little bit too hard, but quite hard there, so I need to just even that up a little bit and blend it in. It's okay that I've gone harder there, that's fine. I just can't just do it on that one spot. I'm gonna have to go harder kind of all around it to even it up. There we go. A bit lighter there. This kind of browny, yellow, creamy kind of colours are really good background for the start of quite a few things, because it goes, and that's why I used it for the background for all of them, because it goes really well with all the other colours. So the top one, that's the sort of reds and oranges, it will go well with, brings out the like the yellow tones go well. And also with the greens and turquoises, and then when you get into the pinks and blues, that's where the brown kind of colour, you know, kind of goes well. So yeah, I use this this colour background colour combo quite a bit, which is also why I've all got the little tiny pencils left, and I've not got big pencils on order, but they're taking ages. I have actually got, I was really lucky, and I went onto Facebook one day, and I don't know if any of you use the marketplace on Facebook, you know, you can buy and sell kind of secondhand things, and I always have a look. I often just look and don't buy anything. I've bought a few things from there, but I always look in the crafty section, the arts and the pencils, and someone was selling a wooden polychromo box, you know, the wooden kind of presentation kind of box polychromos, and I was like, oh my god. Anyway, so we had a bit of haggling in that, but I managed to get it for $200, which is an absolute bargain, because a packet of polychromos over here, the ones I bought recently, cost me over $300, and that's just for, you know, normal in a tin, and this was in the wooden ones. So I've got them, but I don't want to use them. And they're the ones that there's polychromos have changed the name of a couple of the pencils they used for skin tones, and even though this box is, it's only a few years old, I think, but it's still called it's the older ones where it's called light flesh and medium flesh and whatever. They changed the name, so they're not called that now, they're called something different. So that was pretty cool. The woman who I bought it off, it was quite interesting. She actually she did a course on colour therapy, and then she did the course, and then she was running a course for other people, and she bought the polychromo pencils because of the range of colours, and she was using it in her colour therapy sessions. just to hold pencils up. So I think 2 of them had actually been used. She hadn't even swatched or anything. She wasn't a colourist. So some of the pencils are literally never touched. She'd just been lifting them up and using them for whatever it was she was explaining, her colour theory thing. I'm not quite sure what it was, but it's the one where, you know, you dress in certain colours and it changes the energy and stuff like that or something she was saying. But yeah, I was just chuffed that I managed to get the wooden box of polychromos for a bargain price. Okay, so nearly across to the yellow. So after this one, just finished this bit here. A little bit more awkward with those little round ball things. So after this one, we'll go onto the cream colour. Pressed a bit hard there, I think. And at this edge, if you're like kind of wondering where to stop, just kind of try and stop in the line with the edge of the end of the shelf sort of thing. That's fine. Go a little bit lighter up there. Take this up a little bit with the yellow, but very light, pressing very light. Perfect. Right, so now we go on to this little one. And because it's a little baby one, I'm just going to use the, I don't even know what these are, extender, I suppose would be the phrase, would it? So this is 102 cream. Oh look, if I put him down, he's lost. Oh, wrong way. So with these lighter colours now, I really, I think it gets harder as you use the lighter colours because you can't see them as much. So that's coming up a bit. And they start to get a little bit harder to blend, as in you can see like that you do have to maybe do a couple of layers to get the blend because you can't just sort of push down on them. So I'm going to about there, which is kind of just under the top of the flower line. If you look at that line across, so you got these over here, so it's just under the top of the flower line, because then the ivory, just the very top, will go on that top half. And the blend, I'm going over quite a lot of that yellow there. Hopefully, if I've done my job right, and I've done the previous colour, you know, I've just done some light enough, the blend should go pretty well. And I'm sort of doing small, I'll do with my pencils anyway, a bit like with fine liners, like small circular kind of movement rather than straight up and down. It just seems to get the colour on the paper without potentially kind of streaky lines. As you can see by me colouring here, it's quite wobbly, that top line, but it's so light you can't really see that much. Now I'm really going over the lines, but you wait until we get a nice red fine liner over that. It will just make that pop out again. So really don't worry about it when it looks like it's kind of covering up the lines. It won't. We will go around all the lines with the fine liner and re-establish them and give them some colour, so not just be black. Right, so I'm going a bit firmer around here. And some nice circular motions at the top, just checking my line. Go over that a little bit more. That flower's a little bit lower than those. Okay. Again, I can go over the line there, because I'll be going over that with fine liner. I'm not going over the bigger parts because they're bigger, and also because potentially, depending on when we get to them, I might colour those with pencil. So, right then. Oh, I see, I've pressed down a little bit too hard there, so I've kind of got this, some not so nice kind of lines. Just make that lighter at the top there. That's about right. And the same as before, more pressure on the bottom part, go larger at the top, so when this cream goes into the ivory it'll be easier to blend. Or, you know, yeah, you won't have to make it blend as much. Little tulips there. Not very good with my flowers, some of them I recognise. That kind of looks more like a, that'd be a bluebell or something. Oh, I don't know. I'm not even going to try. I appreciate a beautiful garden and beautiful flowers. But yeah, I'm not exactly, I haven't exactly got green fingers, unless I've been colouring all day. Right, that bit there, I haven't done a very good job of blending in this area at all. So I needed, so with that one, because the blending wasn't, the yellow wasn't that smooth, I'm pressing a lot harder and going over more of the yellow than I would have before, just to try to blend it in. And then as I go further up, I'll go lighter again. What I am doing, and I shouldn't be, is running my hand all over this as I'm going over. So I use this like plastic kind of cover to put it on, because then you're not wiping or smudging all your kind of pencil work. You don't have to worry about that if you're just using fine liners, but it does make a difference, I think, if you're using pencils. Circular motion there. We wanted it just before the top of the flowers, didn't we? Right. That one's a little bit higher than that. Just do a little bit to blend it. How's that looking? Okay, so we're on to the last one now. And the last one is the ivory. Oh. So again, it's one of the baby pencils. So 103 ivory. So I'm just going to, right, do this. Now this one is the last bit at the top. So nice circular motions. And you can see the kind of like colour going on, but it's not like massively different to the yellow or the white really. And now I'm going to use the top of the page. So I've got about that. I'm going to go to about there I'm going to use the top of the page as to where I colour up to. Oh, let me get to the flat. I've actually got a natural flat, there we go, on this pencil. Can you see that? The kind of natural flat part? And I can move in circulars there and it's a bit smoother. That's what I'm doing with that one. Up to that imaginary line at the top. And this one here, where there's a bit of yellow, take it right down to the flower and just over the yellow to get the smoother blend. Just look back and just go over that line where the cream and yellow join. If I think it's not looking very smooth, it's not too bad. Still kind of doing circular motions. I'm pressing very firmly with this one. It's blending in pretty well actually, if you look at that. Oh, let's go back, see how flat that is now. And it's great as that flatness. There we go. Let's sit back now and just have a look. That looks alright, doesn't it? That's the background. I'm going to pause this video here now. Yeah, I'll actually go down and do the backgrounds on the others exactly how I've done that one. So I'm not going to bore you with that. I'll make sure they're done before we do each one. So part 2 will be doing the red shelf, or the fun bits, as I would say, and then we'll do part 3 of that shelf, part 4 and part 5, and you'll have your picture done. Thanks for joining me.